Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, episode 185, part 2. For those watching live on the video quality probably still sucks, unfortunately. But the topic tonight, the importance of being consistent. So we're going to do it anyways.
Ironically,
with
our very inconsistent internet.
I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if it's WoW. I don't know if it's StreamYard. I'm going to blame StreamYard. And they should be able to see us, Rob.
I think people would enjoy that.
They should be able to read Steve's shirt.
I mean, but
I know they would.
You know what? If they can't see us,
They can hear
the
us.
audible delight that they are receiving this evening is certainly worth it.
Agreed. All right, guys. We did part 1. We're doing separate video here. We can't fix the video quality, unfortunately, but we're going to go ahead anyways. I do want to thank Robb Wilson from Rocky Patel Cigars for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Used to be a local guy here, and he moved away.
I did.
Broke my heart.
I know.
But you made someone very happy.
Yeah, I did.
Who'd you make happy?
My wonderful, wonderful girlfriend, Shannon.
Shannon's not listening tonight.
No. She's at home reading.
She could have us on in the background. I mean, right?
Yeah, but we're talking cigars and whiskey,
Right,
and
right.
It's just not her
Right,
thing.
right. Hopefully everyone can see us. I can't even pull us up here at this point. This whole shit show here. Who's running this production? I want to thank our sponsors. Can you get us up? Is it working?
Yeah.
On your goddamn Bezos. So part 2. I'm gonna need a lot more whiskey.
Yeah. It's one of those.
Yeah, thanks to our sponsors, not WoW Internet and not StreamYard. Pay for that shit, and it's worthless. But Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. Watch, it'll just shut off.
Right.
I talk bad about
Somebody's
Zuckerberg.
watching.
Yeah, they're like,
Somebody's
hey, you don't like us? All right.
Right.
Fuck you.
We got you.
Yeah, create your own internet. Tinder Box at Easton, you will be able to find what we smoked in the first part, the Rocky Patel 60, and that'll be in a week or two. It's shipping next week, we said.
Yep.
Hopefully landing by the next week or two there at Tinder Box at Easton, along with other brick and mortars nearby, wherever you guys are at. I want to thank Altadis USA for normally they give us the second feature cigar of the episode, but tonight we have the Rocky Patel Disciple, which I'm looking forward to. Also a San Andreas wrapper, we said.
Correct.
Okay, good. And then also BS Cigar Company, and I will throw it up on the screen, the patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. You guys make a big difference. I'm going to have to upgrade the internet or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, man. Or just cut all my neighbors' internet. Think they'd be upset?
There might be a bit of
not the ones I am friends with.
Right, just the weirdos.
That house.
Yeah, they're definitely weirdos.
Next door neighbors, they don't need it.
Nope.
She does.
No.
But what a night.
It is.
Smooth.
Oh, what a night.
Smooth, just like the
Smooth
cigar.
like the cigar. I'm thinking the same thing.
Smooth. Fucking hate this. But no, thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are live, I know we're probably choppy. I can't even pull it up on my iPad, which is also on the same network. Awesome. I need new everything. I'm moving. Do you guys have an extra room up there?
No.
Perfect. Perfect. The importance of being consistent is part 2 topic, which is again why we're still doing this right now. As much as I don't want to. I'm gonna go inside. You guys take it over. Miko, you're in. We kind of look alike. They can't see you anyways.
Right.
We got the same accent.
Right.
All right.
Same
So let me pull this up here. Sorry for those listening to the audio that don't have any idea what we're talking about at this point. Here we go. All right. No, that's the wrong button. All right. So Jonathan Aaron says, we can see you. Thank you very much. I got the comments now.
That my boy Jonathan?
Jonathan Aaron.
Hey,
I also
brother.
need a new phone.
I miss you, man.
The whole world's falling apart.
Just stop it.
Hey, there it is.
Just stop it. Let's just talk.
Let's just talk.
Let's just talk.
So it's the way I put this, and you guys haven't seen this, the importance of being consistent. I said we're diving down on consistency after we've had a couple of drinks in part one. That's still accurate. Is anything good worth doing if you're just going to do it for a while and then quit? Is being consistent always a good thing? Also, what are ways we can work on being consistent? Some food for thought for the table.
Yeah,
Rob's soaking it in.
I am.
This, I'll not going to go diving into the same hole we had with Miguel a couple weeks ago.
She forgot that she also bid on
Hey,
a
I think we're live again here.
Are we?
So, you know.
Are we back?
I don't know. We'll find out.
We're back and it looks okay.
Yeah. How do we look, Jonathan?
Jesus
Not
Christ.
perfect, but
I'm going to have to do some editing on this one, people.
Oh, now, hey, it's showing that things are good.
It might have been that fucking TV.
It could have been.
Garbage TV.
I swear.
Where'd you get that damn
I
thing?
don't know. Some asshole was like,
Yeah.
hey, it's a great TV. Yeah, do it.
Son of a bitch.
My wife forgot she bid on a leaf blower and weed eater combo.
We're actually live.
okay.
Is this part of the story here? Being consistent.
I was killing time.
I just literally said you are looking at it and said we're clear. All right. And go. What the fuck? I'm gonna leave all this in just for fun.
You have to. Yeah.
Might as well. Got a hell of a production going on here.
You should make a bloopers reel.
Jonathan Rushing says, where the hell did you buy a TV from Gurkha Cigars? All right, let's not get personal here.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a little much, all right? All right. I don't really lose my composure a whole lot, so I'm going to take a drink.
Well, when we
Speaking
were
of being consistent.
when we were choppy, he said our feed was still better than a Gurkha cigar.
Wow. Josh was. So, being consistent. All right, let's go. What I was talking about here is that here in the area, I assume it's going to be going across the country. I know Ray, who's an avid listener in Vietnam, they've shut things down again, right? So we're doing all that stuff. We talked about what have we learned with Miguel when he was on recently, like last couple weeks,
2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. And my whole thing of that was that we're still learning, right? So I mean that's where we're at. And it's interesting to see now, at least in our area, like, so starting Friday, it's going to be a mask mandate again in Columbus, but they can't do it in Ohio because Congress can overrule that and basically veto that ruling, which would most likely happen in the current situation of that. But it's interesting that it's like the whole lesson here is that I was talking to someone today, and I don't want to go down the COVID route, all that, but I'm just talking about this, is that being consistent would be another approach to this. And this might fire up some people, but with this is that everyone's talking about the schools, like all the kids going back and all this stuff. And it's like, oh, we have the vaccine, so now we can do it. It's like, no, obviously the vaccines aren't really doing what we were originally told. And we had that conversation last week as well. But it's something that now it's like, all right, you're going to do it this year or next year or 5 years from now. At some point, you're going to get back in-person learning. You should. There are people out there like, we don't need to, but you need to for socialization, right? As a species. But I'm saying, if it's not going to happen this year, we're all going to stay in our own bubbles again. Okay, well, the next year we're going to have an outbreak, or 5 years from now. Like at some point, like you're going to have to live, and you're going to have to get this anything like flu, COVID, cold, whatever, right? I mean, that's just where we're at. So it's like being consistent is like keep going about your day to day. And now we're going back to, well, it worked, it didn't, the mask mandate before.
Right.
And now we're going to do that again because that's the only play you have in your playbook.
That's the only option.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I made a customer laugh this morning talking about COVID, talking about, we were talking about Tyler, who was on recently as well, Tyler Jones from Espinosa Cigars. He was going to that Guns N' Roses concert. And they were talking about like, you know, all this shit, you know, like about Slash and Axl and how they're still alive, even though they probably shouldn't be, kind of like Keith Richards type thing. And I just was like, yeah, it's the same thing as, you know, like better than McDonald's. And this lady just fucking lost it. She's like, that's the funniest thing I've heard all day. Because it's so accurate. If you eat McDonald's every day, you're going to be fat.
Right.
And have heart disease, which is the number one killer. You're going to have health problems. You're going to have all this stuff. It's like when the importance of being consistent, when I was asking those questions earlier, it was like, is it always a, you know, good thing? Obviously, if it's poor habits, no.
Correct.
And some may debate, you know, that obviously you're watching this. Some people watch and listen to part 2 that aren't cigar smokers or whiskey drinkers, but, you know, people would debate or argue that these are not good being consistent in your life either.
Correct. Right.
But there's a lot of things I think that if you do it in moderation, that's always the phrase that I always hear is that, you know, it's like, oh, you have to do things in moderation, right? But I think a part of that, when you're doing things in moderation, that people don't always include in that conversation is that is also being consistent, right? So it's not like you do it once and you're done.
Right.
You're still doing it. You just have to have a mindset of being able to do that.
Well, I think it's less, you know, about being moderate on things. It's, you know, it's just making good choices, period. If it's something you love,
yeah,
and you enjoy, and it's not harmful, go all out. You know, do as much of it as you want to do. It's your life.
Yeah.
Live your life. You know, as long as, you know, you're not stepping on other people's toes, you're not hurting yourself or others, you know, then do anything and everything. Go all out. Yeah. I mean, why put limitations on things? You know, I mean, again, you know, it would be nice if as a society, we all looked inward first.
Yeah.
And made the decisions of what was best for us and left it up to others to make the decisions of what's best for them. And yeah, I wish we'd be consistent on that.
Nate, what are your thoughts on some of this stuff here entering into the conversation?
No, I do agree with what Rob said. One of the things I was thinking about in your intro,
which one?
We were talking about, you know, can being consistent be a bad thing? You know, you talked about, you know, fast food, poor diet choices. Like that would obviously be a bad thing to be consistent on,
right?
Because the negative repercussions it can have. I think sometimes one of the things that can be harmful to yourself, but be consistent with is like the position I was in at work, I was just doing the same thing every single day. It wasn't pushing me. It wasn't me doing what I do best. It was just a job. And like some people will live their entire life just doing a job for the sake of doing a job.
Yep.
They don't necessarily push themselves to make anything better of that. I could have sat there and comfortably, you know, I could have had the same position and done the same job for the next 20 years. Like if I really wanted to do that, I could do that. but I want to do something more. I want to do something better,
Right.
or I want to make more money.
Yeah.
So I have to do things to put myself out of my comfort zone.
Right.
Because in a lot of cases, that's how you're going to grow.
Right.
Is doing things that are uncomfortable. Doesn't necessarily mean you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation, but you're doing things to challenge yourself instead of just going with the status quo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's very important. I mean, because that's how you learn a lot about yourself, is going against the grain a little bit. You know, I talk about, I think every time I've been on the show, I talk about when I moved up to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was in Dayton, Ohio, had my job, you know, family, friends, everything was in that bubble, the consistency of that bubble. And it was a great life. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm blessed to have an amazing family and a great group of friends, and I had a nice job. But the consistency, it was wearing me out. You know, I needed something different. So I went against the grain and decided to get out of the bubble. And it was a blessing to me.
Do you think it was the proximity, like the bubble itself, or was it the routine? Like, you know, being consistent, like that's kind of one of those questions I put on that description there, obviously, was the fact that, you know, you talk about you were doing the same thing, you know, you're in that bubble or whatever.
Yeah.
And you moved out of it. I think that there's something there that it's not always the case where that's what consistency, right? Is it always good?
Right.
If it's a rut, that sometimes can be that, right? So like what Nate was talking about, what you're talking about, is that we all get in that. So sometimes you need to rattle it completely apart and do something different, right? Nate, you just got a different job within the same company, and now you've got a new thing.
Yeah.
Now you've shaken that part up. We don't know. Time will tell. That is this for better or worse? You know what I mean? Is it going to be a mundane consistency? There's nothing wrong with being comfortable doing what you're doing on a regular basis.
Right. Right.
That's what vacations are for. That's what Ray says, for fuck's sake, so confusing and very inconsistent. Because is this part 1 or 2? It says part 1 on the Facebook post. Just enjoy the show, all right? Jesus Christ, we've been having nothing but technical difficulties right now, all right? Yeah.
Well, like in my previous career, I was at my previous employer for 8 years, but a lot of that 8 years, I was very unhappy, and I did not like what I was doing. I was fine with the job that I had. I didn't have any issues doing the job. I just didn't like where I was. I didn't necessarily like some of the people I was working with, and it was very unhappy situation for me. I was one of those people where I was, thank God it's Friday. Oh shit, it's Monday. I was one of those people
working for the weekend, baby.
That's right. And I made a completely drastic change from that to pursue a passion, to pursue something I had wanted to do. And it became one of those where I was like, you know, I'm happy it's Monday because I get to go do this. I get to go here. I get to meet these people. It was something I was looking forward to. You know, and I still have those days as well, even doing what I'm doing now, even though it's not necessarily what I love doing, but I at least like the position I'm at more than I did in my previous career. I've been at my current employer now for 7 years, so almost as long as my first, but there's a completely different mindset because I actually enjoy being there. I actually enjoy doing what I do.
And that's important.
It's huge.
Again, when you're talking about consistency, it's what are the goals, right? Is it Jonathan Aaron says Steve's key to consistency is, look,
I can't read that.
You can't see far or close.
It's not.
Do you have glasses?
I
have own glasses. Have you seen an eye doctor?
I'm
optometrist.
October 5th.
Jesus Christ.
Well, tell me what it says.
No. Focus. He also says you're old.
Yes.
Can you see that on the screen? Probably not.
Nope.
All right, perfect.
Cannot.
You guys can just throw comments on about Rob. He can't see any of it.
Nope.
But Yeah, and your wife Jess says you met your wife at the previous job. Yeah, there's pros and cons. I think you have to have your goals in mind, right? And Ray throws it out there too. I'm looking at these comments as I'm doing this, and you guys listening to the audio only, you can't see this. So sorry, it's been a little scattered. We've had some technical difficulties tonight, but trying to get back on track. The only consistency in my life is being stuck at home for the last 3 months. There's so many ways we can go about this conversation. So I'm going to say this with the job stuff. You got to be happy, right? So I mean, if you want to be, you guys can turn off that fan. That would probably help. Yeah, the cold. No, the other one, the one closer to that one. Yeah, the one pointed at you. Yeah, well.
Yep, there you go.
Taking care of the audience.
Got to take care of the live audience here.
You know?
So consistency is something that if you're happy, you're obviously on the right track, right? So it's about your goals. So consistency or the mundane, you know, what you were talking about with Chicago, it wasn't all bad, but it was just something that it was just, you felt like you're in a rut. I think that's where we're getting to that point.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
Ray out there, like that was something that has literally broken down people over the last 18 months.
Yeah, incredibly, of course.
Incredibly. This will be exponentially worse in 5 years.
Yeah.
Not hopefully viruses, but I mean the mental stability of people it's breaking people down.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to shake it up. And I'm not getting into your political views or whatever it is, because everyone says COVID's not political. Well, that's obviously bullshit, because it always leads into that. But I look at this as something that we have to, again, bring it back. The consistency, find your happiness, right? And if you're not happy with your job, you aren't happy with where you're living, then you got to figure out, you know, and work backwards.
Yeah.
You know, set up your goals. I was talking to a friend that was today that was talking about going back to school, but didn't know what they wanted to do. And so it's like, they were like, I don't know what to even like enroll in and all that stuff. I was like, well, figure out what you want to do, you know, or try to like at least get this goal and then start working backwards. And then you fill in those steps. The backwards thinking is super important when you're talking about this consistency thing, because if you want to, it's always easy to talk about like, you know, fitness and stuff like that, or diet. If you feel like you're overweight, you lost a lot of weight at one point, Rob.
Yeah.
We had Miguel and I asked him, I bluntly was like, did you enjoy being fat?
Right.
And the obvious answer is no.
No.
Did you enjoy eating those things you ate and not doing much? Yeah, when I was doing that. But then at the end of the day, you felt like shit.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things, you work backwards. You look at this, you're like, all right, so I may never have a six pack, may never be like, you know, like this person that I you know, look at. I'm not saying you.
Well, I look at you and, you know.
No. I'm looking at it as that you have to like look at these goals, and then you the backwards way of thinking, I think, is something. Gains, bro. No, I look at this as that this is something that the backwards thinking is a very successful tool, that if your goals are out there and you start this mentality of backwards thinking and filling in those steps to get to where you may want to be, is what you're doing on a everyday basis. The consistency in your life, what you're talking about, living in Chicago, right? At that time,
yep,
with you and that job, you doing that for the money and a stable job, is it actually getting you closer to the goals of what you want? Take vacation, travel, own a home, do these things. Is that worth the steady paycheck? Is it worth the comfort? Or do you still wake up, you're comfortable in that, but it's actually your own personal prison, because what you want to do is not getting any closer.
Correct. Because
all you're doing is living in the now, which is there's value to that as well.
Yeah.
But again, that only lasts for so long, because at some point you're going to have that's your new consistency, is living in the now. And so you look at it, you're like, all right, so, you know, I'm 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, whatever it is. But it's like, is that where you want to be in 5-10 years?
Right.
And some people that answer might be absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm good with, you know, waking up, you know, mowing my lawn, going to work, having a stable job. But anyone that wants to, like, I hear all the time that travel's the big thing. You know what I mean? Like, especially now after this last year, everyone wants to, oh, I want to travel. I want to get back on a plane. Oh, you know, that's the worst part about this COVID thing. It's like, well, have you saved up money or you put it on a credit card?
Right.
Are you working towards that? Or are you just setting yourself up for another failure that's going to upset you later? You know what I mean? Are you getting those temporary highs or are you doing the backward thinking mentality?
Yeah. I think the majority of people are temporary highs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that's
especially in this country.
Yeah. I that's the majority. I mean, everything in our society is all about that dopamine rush. There's I don't think there's any forward thinking, backward thinking. Hell, I don't think there's a lot of thinking going on anymore. It's where we've been put, with, here we are talking mask mandates again, damn it. And what will that lead into? And so it's hard to have any consistency because you don't know what tomorrow brings anymore.
Yeah.
I talk about, every year, my goal is in January is to sit down and, do my planning for the year, find out, figure out what I'm going to do to hopefully grow sales, all that good stuff. Obviously I had a game plan last year that got, completely blown out of the water. This year, I didn't know what to expect this year. So, your head gets put on a swivel and you just go with it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of discomfort in that. I mean, just the road life job in itself. I mean, there's very little consistency. It's new town every day.
Absolutely.
Different bed you're sleeping in every night, and different crowd you're hanging out with. And so there's a lot of inconsistency,
but
in that
the overall goal is the same. And so
Correct.
even though what you're seeing, who you're seeing, and the conversations you have on a daily basis may change, they're all leading towards the same direction.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. I'll throw this up before I lose this. And it's not because he mentions me, but that your buddy Jonathan.
Yeah.
Jonathan's been on the show before. He's on week 5 of this workout plan, and then we're going to bounce around a little bit because we're getting a lot of good feedback. If you guys are listening to the audio, we go live every Wednesday night. So if you can join the conversation on Facebook, it's a great way to be a part of the conversation. Week 5 of this workout plan, my key to consistency in it has been accountability and strict goals. I don't know how Steve's done this workout thing for years consistently. It's tough. Oddly enough, you can use when you're on your own doing some of these things, you can use social media.
Yeah.
So the check-in thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That you guys all give me shit about, in a loving way about the focus and everything else.
Right.
One of those things is that I am getting Facebook memories on a daily basis, pretty much from 2014, 2013, when I got into this. 2013, I started checking in the gym, and a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, you're giving shit about it."
Right.
But it's like now I look at it, I'm like, it's 2021, and I'm getting Facebook memories from 6-7 years ago.
That's
where
awesome.
I was like, focus,
Yeah.
checked in at the 3 gyms ago.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, is that accountability. Sometimes when you're on your own, holding yourself accountable is tough, especially when you don't have someone that's kicking you out of your bed to like, hey, go to the gym, go for a run, get out of
Very
bed.
much. Yeah.
Someone with the career, or like if you're on your own and you're keeping it internal, that's a tough part.
Yeah.
That's a very tough part about this, is that, and so you can use social media in a sense to make yourself publicly accountable, and you might affect or you might have an audience of 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to throw this out there, and sorry if I went off track here a little bit, but Jonathan Herring, he brought me into this because I've been doing that type of thing for this long, and now he's 5 weeks into it. And I just said I've been doing this for like checking in, and I've had my ups and downs of the consistency and everything like that. But it's something that you do, that you put it out there. And so you have one person that was a cigar rep for our shop, a friend of mine now, that 6, 7, 8 years later, he's looking at this and he's on week 5.
Yeah.
So Jonathan, I'm going to encourage you, if you use social media, that you're going to have to deal with criticism a little bit, but I will encourage you guys that some people, I'm not talking about like those, the fake entrepreneurs and all that shit, all that stuff like that, but keep it on your close circles if you want to do that. Like on Instagram, you can do close friends. You can do that on, you know, or even just text a friend or someone important to you going to the gym, because they are going to do that where when you don't send that text, be like, did you not go to the gym today?
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't post a walk picture a couple days ago. And my old neighbor, Julie, says, hey, just checking in. I didn't see you post anything from your walks the last couple of days. You doing okay?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's annoying to whatever percentage, probably the majority, like, oh, here's another walk picture. Here's another focus check-in. Well, here's this, you know, here's that. And then there's those people that are like, they'll hold you accountable.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You
though.
stop doing that, they'll do it.
No, that's great. I mean, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was my goal. I would post, you know, when I was going through my weight loss, my goal was the next digit, you know. So when I was at 300 plus, you know, so if I was at 320, you know, or 320, whatever, I was looking for the 3-1, and then I was looking
what
for
was the highest you were at?
370. Yeah. So I was always looking for that next lower digit, you know, and I would post every time I hit that.
Nice.
And, you know, of course, obviously I had a great group of people rooting for me.
Yeah.
You know, and it was that, you know, and I look forward to that, that adoration, you know, that feedback from everybody to say, hey, good job, Rob. You know, I mean, because obviously I was proud of myself, but it felt good to feel like I had a team with me.
Yeah.
You know, keeping me consistent.
Boom. What do you got now? And I know you everyone has their ups and downs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're probably not your lightest because you've been going through
right
the last year. And,
well,
and
unfortunately, change and COVID and moving and everything like that.
you got a girlfriend.
Right.
It's always,
you know, 15 pounds later. Yeah. You know, so you know, I'm trying to get back on it. Unfortunately for me, my workout was the P90X program, and that kept me consistent because I felt like, you know, Tony Horton, who does those videos, was like my drill sergeant.
Yeah.
You know, and every day that I would wake up and I'd be tired or just not in the mood or whatever, I felt like Tony was gonna yell at me. I mean, he's just a guy on this video.
So again, there's accountability.
Yeah, I just felt like I was doing wrong, so I was like, all right, get up, just press play. You know, because that's one of the things he would always say, just press play, press play. And that's what kept me going.
Laying in bed watching P90X while you're like drinking a Diet Coke.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm doing my part.
So I'd love to get
diet, for Christ's sake. Jesus.
I'd love to get back to that, but unfortunately, my back, you know.
So you have setbacks.
Yeah. So it doesn't allow. So now that I've been back on a routine with a row machine and, you know, some push-ups and, you know, this and that. And my goal is I do want to get back to the P90, but I've been looking at, you know, how to alter it, you know, how to adjust certain things to where I don't have the pressure on my back. Yeah. So, cause I missed the consistency from that workout program.
I got to throw in a side note here, and it's not dogging and everything like that, but the recent, you know, 18 months or whatever, that was one of those things that with a lot of these, if you were making strides in your career, you know, like you were, you know, like traveling as a salesperson, you're making strides or you're consistent in your fitness. And when all that shit got closed down, I had a major problem. I understand the greater good mentality. What I didn't care for, and I don't care for still, is that when you look at these pillars of health, experts, there's a lot of examples that those people that are the experts at health, I would not want them to be my personal trainer.
Agreed.
There's a lot of fat fucks out there saying you should not do this, you should not do this, you know what I mean? Because you know, and it's like, how are you in an expert position of health? Right. Mental health or anything else. You know what I mean? Like the laundry comes out like they're thrice divorced. You know, like there's all these like, you know, other back stories of like their life's a mess. And then you look at it and you're like, well, you haven't actually eaten healthy or done anything for your health other than take Western medicine pills for, you know, because I don't know how many pill bottles you have, but you're prescribed all of them, but you have a great healthcare program so that you can get all these for fucking free almost.
It's that person that writes the relationship book, but they've been married 8 times or
right. And I think, you know, I always say that the biggest thing, especially when it comes to, you know, exercising specifically,
Okay.
is, you know, it's very, it's personal. You know, you've got to find what works for you, because
Absolutely.
what works for you might not work for me, might not work for Nate, or you know, you've got to find what works for you. Like so many people like P90X. Oh, I couldn't do that. Well, that's what clicked for me, and that's why it worked.
Yeah, and P90X is like you work out 6 days a week and you eat less. I'm like, no shit, you're gonna lose weight.
Yeah,
But
right.
that clicks,
Right.
Yeah, like, because
that's
before
exactly
you started P90X, you were not working out at all,
and I wasn't eating right,
and you weren't eating right. So
Yeah.
it's like, let me change a couple things. You're gonna work out 6 out of 7 days a week, hard,
yeah,
and you're gonna eat healthy.
Yeah.
I'm shocked I lost
brilliant.
weight.
Brilliant.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah, of course.
I always say that when people ask me, you know, what you do, I was like, you know, I have this crazy idea of diet and exercise.
Weird.
I should write a book.
Instead, you're reading someone else's book. You're popping in those DVDs every fucking day. You're like, all right.
Well, hell, I remember when I went from playing middle school football to high school football. Like I took a year off because I didn't want to be a lineman in high school.
Yeah.
And I started changing my diet, and all I did was 3 things: stopped eating fast food hamburgers, stopped eating mayonnaise, and I stopped drinking pop.
Pop.
Wait.
So when I say I stopped eating mayonnaise, like,
how much mayonnaise were you eating? How was that number 2? How was that number 2? If that was number 1, I'd be really concerned.
He had the Costco tub of mayonnaise.
Costco wasn't around then.
no,
Hellman's on a fucking skid.
Bring out the Hellman's.
No, what I used to do, and I learned this bad habit from my sister, was like anytime I'd go to Wendy's and get fries,
Extra mayonnaise.
no, I'd get a side of mayonnaise and I'd mix it with ketchup and dip fries into that shit. So I got rid of those 3 things, and from between my freshman and sophomore year, I dropped 20 pounds. Went
Strictly
down
for mayonnaise intake.
went down to.
You can't read that. Ray says, was he eating it directly from the tub?
No, I guess that also went with getting rid of the fast food hamburgers, because almost every place you get
soda.
a hamburger.
The soda's everything.
Yeah.
Everybody that I've talked to in my journey is since then, you know, soda is the number 1 thing. When people, I've got a buddy from Chicago. He's down in Tennessee now. Became diabetic. You know, horrible health. He cut out soda. I saw him at the beginning of August, and it was shocking. And he said, and that's the main thing he did. You know, everything else, because of his health being so poor, he wasn't working out. I mean, he was going on walks, which of course helped. But
helps.
Cutting out the soda, that was his number 1 enemy.
Well, yeah. I mean, even myself, I don't drink really any soda every once in a while, but it's a very, very blue moon that I do that. And I used to be, I mean, even in my 20s, that was the whole thing. As kids, you know, at least in the suburbs and everything else, you know, we grew up on soda, right? I mean, there's something, but at that age, it doesn't really affect you,
right?
But it's that lifestyle. So again, you talk about being consistent, right? So now all of a sudden you get in your 20s, 30s, and everything. I remember my 20s. I mean, I was at an office job. I was sitting there, so I wasn't active as much anymore. And I was sitting there. I was office away from the pop machine, and I loved Mountain Dew. And last time I checked, it was like 170 calories per can.
Yeah,
12 ounces.
Yeah,
and I was crushing 5 to 8 a day.
Shit.
So that is almost like you're like anymore for me. That is not quite my intake of calories, but I remember when I first lost the weight, that was basically like I would have had the same amount of calories drinking the amount of Mountain Dew I used to drink in my 20s in eating food.
Right.
And also the sugar.
Yeah.
And not sugar,
Processed
high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
When I worked at the
Which
state
was part
house,
of the conspiracy hat real quick. That was part of the food pyramid where corn was a big thing because they were fucking pumping it out for corn syrup.
Yeah.
It's a fucking cash cow.
Yeah, absolutely.
That doesn't remind you of anything today? Have you looked at Moderna stock? Anyways, go ahead, Nate.
When I worked at the State House one summer in college,
Go on.
I used to.
We're teetering.
That was
It's over $400 a share, by the way.
That was the summer that I think it was the Mountain Dew. I think it was either Code Red or the Orange Mountain Dew.
Code Red
came out.
Oof.
I don't think it may not have been Code Red. It was the orange one that came out. And I used to keep a 2-liter in my desk drawer.
Oh shit.
And I would go through.
There was a time that they'd have a bottle of whiskey in their desk drawer. Our generation is, I got pop. I got sugar water.
Right.
That's sick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I remember the one time at the Tinder Box, Brian had ordered, I think he'd gotten Chipotle. And then he decided, he's like, yeah, I'm going to grab a Mountain Dew. And he hadn't had a pop in months.
Crushed him.
And he didn't even drink half of it. He's like, oh, God, I feel sick from this.
Yeah. By the way, Jonathan, bravo to you on 5 weeks. And good luck in the future on that. Yeah. So I can't wait to see you.
And I think that's the whole thing with I think that's a great point, right? Because with that being said, 5 weeks, and Jonathan reached out to me based on the comment he made. He sent me a personal message and thanked me.
Yeah.
And those are those things that you never know who is watching, and you never know who's holding you accountable, because he now needs to hold himself accountable.
Right.
But him putting it out there tonight, messaging me, now you got 2 people at least, Nate and anyone else out there. If you guys know Jonathan Herring, I would encourage you guys in the next 7 days to just send a nice message saying, I don't know if you're still crushing it this week, but I hope you are. It's not a pressure thing, but it's always that thing where you put that out there, because that's another way that you can be consistent on your own side, right? Is that you hold yourself accountable, but you also have to appreciate the people that are holding you accountable. And so one of the characteristics that I know I've had to work on a lot is to try to boost people up in your circle.
Yeah.
However vast it may be. Yeah. You know, personally, in the age we are, like this, doing this podcast, the Bourbon and BS community, there's 1,500 members. You see that stuff. I found it odd, but very refreshing when, someone reached out. Like I said, Julie, my old neighbor, was like, hey, I haven't seen you post anything. Yeah. My mom actually did the same thing at one point. It was like the first time in I forget how long that I hadn't posted a Instagram story of a walk picture in the morning, because I just didn't do it that day. Yeah. And I got a text like, are you okay? Yeah. Because you don't know who's watching. Like, and holding yourself accountable is not always like proving yourself, but it's something that you can do also to people, where instead of just like looking at someone that's doing the post, doing something like that, or you see them on a regular basis and you like, man, you've been down. Right. Or you're really on this path. The fitness thing is really easy to use. And it's a metaphor for a lot of things, right?
Right. Absolutely. I mean? Yeah.
You've been doing so well at this, and then all of a sudden, like a week goes by, you see him again. You're like, doesn't seem the same. Yeah. A little down. Yep. So I would encourage everyone that, sometimes it takes people and we all get that way, is that you get that down where you miss a day that turns into a week. You miss, whatever diet, just even meditation, or doing something that has been making you really strive and thrive and all that stuff. And no one notices. So why should I keep doing it?
Right. Right. Yeah. Again, it's nice to have that support.
Be that person.
Yeah. I mean, support. I mean, everything in life. I mean, it's great having, that foundation, that support group that's behind you. Makes everything a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're all like that, is that you don't necessarily, you're not just doing it for yourself. We all say that,
Right.
You're doing this for yourself, the job, the career, the relationship, the health and all that stuff. But I mean, we are absolutely, in my opinion, we're in this society where that's where we're at with all this COVID stuff, is that we want that fast fix. this might offend some people out there, but it's like I looked at this and it's not the same thing, but I almost looked at the mentality of it is that the COVID vaccines that we pumped out as a world, it's got that same mentality of those diet pills.
Yeah.
You know, the weight loss pills. Is that literally you can like go hit up your wherever you got your first vaccine shot, and on the way there or the way home, you went through the McDonald's drive-through.
Right.
And it's like, well, you're at risk because of age, weight, diabetes, health, and all that stuff. And you're like, well, now I got the shot, so fuck, I can eat whatever I want. I'm good.
Well, yeah.
Same thing. You pop those fat loss pills, and you're like, well, I'm taking these now, so I can still have 4 Big Macs for lunch. Like that's not a fucking
yeah.
problem.
I mean, that's based on
it's just this mentality that's like you want to do whatever the fuck you want. That's your consistency.
Right.
But then it's like if something goes wrong, I want the quick fix.
Right.
Now I'm gonna go back to my consistency.
Again, me. I was 370 pounds
That's a lot.
At 30 years old. And
You felt like shit.
Felt like shit. And I became diabetic. And sure, they gave me pills.
Yeah.
Guess what? They gave me a lot of pills. Guess what? My sugar was normal. And I could have just said, oh, I'll just pop this pill.
Yeah.
And everything's fine.
Instead of fixing the problem, just living with it.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people do. That's what a lot of people do. They give you a pill so much for, things today, as opposed to giving you the direction to fix the problem. And luckily I had a good support group. My mother actually was
Moms.
Yeah, right. I got one of the best, and she had gone through it herself, and she helped me, and as soon as look, I was 370 pounds and diabetes ran in the family. It wasn't a shock.
You literally gave yourself diabetes.
Yes, absolutely.
Through consistency.
I had
so at least you can.
Thank you, Portillo's.
I had a friend that
I had a lot of Portillo's, man.
Don't rule out future sponsors of the show, right? Portillo's, if you guys want to Bourbon BS podcast, gmail.com.
I had a friend that dealt with a similar issue as you, Rob, but it took him losing 3 toes before he decided to change anything.
Yeah,
exactly.
I had a friend's dad that he lost some toes and he still would eat a sleeve of Oreos.
Oh,
just couldn't.
Yeah,
addicted.
Yeah, and again,
miserable.
And some people just want to take that pill or give you that take the insulin.
It's so much easier.
It is. It's so much easier. You can
easier.
stay with your everyday routine and just add one little thing to it.
Yeah,
and and it's better. And it's not.
It isn't, because it's the other 365, of the year that you're doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a mental challenge there, that everyone needs to really confront, that's the one thing that I've actually taken from this last couple of years, the last 18 months is that, we learned a lot about ourselves. We learned a lot about other people, and yet it's much the same.
Did we really learn a lot about ourselves, though? See, I got to challenge that.
All right, give me that bottle before you drop this.
Right. I think there's plenty of people out there that, again, they think inward.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, the society that we live in, they live on Facebook. They sit and watch their CNN or Fox News, whatever their dopamine is, and they just listen to what they're told. I had a conversation recently with someone that's certainly more right leaning, and and it was just bad mouth, the left, this and that, and I'm like, that's the problem with everything, is we can't look at the individuals, the our community, our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors, our friends, and judge people on necessarily their beliefs. It's not always their fault. Some people just take what's put in front of them and they read it as law.
I think, yeah.
And that's what I mean. I think that's what the challenge is looking inward and finding out who you are, what matters to you,
Yeah.
And being open to others.
Yeah.
Challenge yourself.
And hoping, you know, your methods will then inspire somebody else to do the same, you know, and find that commonality again.
Yeah.
You know, because I think that's the biggest problem with our society is we've lost that commonality because we have been divided so greatly. And I think
across the world, especially in this country, yeah, absolutely.
And that's where our struggle
was always there. I mean, I look at this, and I'm going to introduce this to you guys on the just put it on the table here, is that the one thing that so my background in education, you know, being sociology, right, is that what's really it's expected, but what's interesting to me is that you talk about that, like what people are fed, right? So this is something that there's always the age-old debate of nature versus nurture.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And this hits a lot of hot topics, hot buttons about, you know, things that are out there, right? As far as, you know, how you treat people.
Right.
Are you accepting or are you not?
Right.
But I would make the argument that when you get a certain age, I'm not talking about like infants and all that stuff, the nature versus nurture, because that is it's very apparent. Like that's changing as we speak right now.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, parents. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
But everyone's got different life situations. But I mean, what we found, what I've observed in the last, again, 18 months is that you talked about this. I think it was Shannon when he was on talking about echo chambers of what you listen to on the news or your social media.
Absolutely.
You're not actually, there's no nurture there, right? And the nurture is that it's watering the same weeds if you are doing that, or the same flowers in your mind. But sometimes you have this aspect where it's like, it's not about nature. Like all this talk about that's just how people are born or all that stuff. And it's like, no, we've established this with, say, the COVID situation, is that the most susceptible people to this are yes, there's the nature side that have type 1, I believe it is, right? That you're born with it.
Right.
Yeah. Like my nephew was born with his 2 major blood vessels, the aorta and
vena cava.
Yeah, they were flipped. So he had open heart surgery within 1 week.
Wow.
That's nature.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's nurture.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So to the masses, yes, I am concerned about people that are born into these genetic dispositions of being susceptible to that. They've lived this way their entire life. I'm not as worried about them.
Right.
It's the people that have lived recklessly,
right,
that have done these things through nurture, right?
Yeah.
That they have taken life choices based on how they were socialized, how they were brought up, or how they do this. And now you're just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
That's the consistency that is a problem.
Right.
The people that for whatever reason, whether they're brought up that way or if they were brought up in a way that they were able to rebel against that negative style, and now they're going the other way, which is a positive thing. We all have issues, but it's like you really have to nurture yourself to take care of yourself and then take care of other people. There's a big aspect of this, is that the nature versus nurture thing never gets touched on with a lot of this side of things, what we've been dealing with in the last 18 months. The in our country, the political side of things, right? The feelings versus, you know, the left versus the right, right? You have all of this stuff, and it's like, no, I have no problem with that, but it's like, all right, so this is what the case is, right? So for those generations there, and I'm not going to get into any of the other hot topics, but the easy one is obviously health again.
Yeah.
And this is, again, a great metaphor for a lot of, you know, you're eating like shit.
Right. Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I knew I was headed down that path for diabetes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I waited. You know, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to reach diabetes.
And then I'll change.
Then I'll change things. Oddly. I mean, that's looking back, that weirdly, that's almost where I was.
Do you still have diabetes?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because you beat it. You beat the beatus.
I did.
The beatus.
Because you took care of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are obviously susceptible to it.
Yeah.
You slip up, you got it.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, like, you know, 2 weeks ago we had Miguel on,
Yep.
and Miguel had mentioned that when he got to the heaviest he developed diabetes. And even though Miguel's lost a lot of weight, he still has diabetes. And it may be something that regardless, he may have to live with that the rest of his life.
Yeah, sometimes it is.
Regardless.
I know
Regardless.
many people who had gone the same path as Miguel and myself. And yes, they are still diabetic. I'm one of the lucky ones in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I trying to turn my brain off, but you can't get away from it. But it's like all this stuff, like even here locally, right? Ohio State football, right? They got a game Saturday.
OH.
Not that guy, but I just did it for the audience.
Yeah.
But I look at this is that they're all up in arms about like not showing vaccine cards or negative COVID tests to be in this public stadium, right? And in the same time, now we have the same city doing this whole thing about the mask mandate, right?
Right.
For indoor spaces is what it is.
Right.
And I'm of the opinion that it's like we have to change the mentality to go on this topic. This should be the general message from up top in our country, across the world, is stop treating your body like a dumpster. Don't treat your body like you're going to die.
Right.
And then have this righteous argument about this diet pill that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the mentality. So that's what I look at this is that we have to teach each other the consistency. And I apologize to everyone out there that if you don't like the health talk, but that's one of those things. It's like, I would love for everyone that like, don't give out bobbleheads at the OSU game or any sporting or any concert that you went to. I know someone in the audience just went to a concert and they had to like get a COVID test. They had to like get, or show a vaccine card to go watch a concert in an outdoor venue.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's happening all over the place.
Yeah.
Instead, let's get some funding. I'm like, hey, here's your ticket. Thank you. Come on in. Here's your bottle of vitamin D. Here's your bottle of zinc.
Yeah.
And here's 2 bottles of water. Hydrate yourself
right
before you get drunk as shit.
Yeah.
Watching this stuff that pumps so much revenue into our economy.
Right.
So that we can survive the way we've set it all up. But I hope you have your vaccine. Whatever you want to say. You know what I mean? But it's like, even like, it's a laughing matter at this point.
It is.
Because you are laughing because it's accurate. It's like,
I know.
Are you taking care of yourself or do you want that diet pill?
Right.
I think this is a valid argument. I don't care. I mean, I'm going to have another drink and maybe that's the whiskey talking, but I think the vaccine that doesn't actually do anything other than, hopefully not get you as sick.
Right.
They've changed that.
Have they?
Well, it used to be. I said it a couple weeks ago. Is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine here in the States, right? Was a 70-some% efficacy, and Moderna and Pfizer were like 90-something.
Yeah.
Have they talked about the rates since everyone can get and pass COVID since? No.
Right. Well, it's
not good news.
Right.
Now, there were people that pumped up, take your vitamin D, take your zinc, so that you, healthy-wise, you can get healthy, that there is a great chance that if you happen to get sick with this or other things, that you will be able to be good because you are taking care of yourself on a consistent basis.
Right.
The one-time shot thing, literally, or 2 times, right? Now 3 if they get the booster. This mentality is the true sickness of where we're at, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking for you guys or you guys out there. I look at this as that this is something that it's literally every day.
Yeah.
You need to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Knowing that things are going to get blown up in your face.
Right.
Your car is going to break down, right? You take care of your car, you do all this stuff, it's still going to break down.
Yeah.
Nate?
Yeah.
You take care of your car.
My car's in the shop. I got the estimate for it today.
Yeah, there you go. But you take care of it.
Yeah.
You did everything you could for that car to make it last. There's
And it
still
let you down.
No.
but there's still a life to it.
Yeah.
At
Why,
some point,
why am I putting that money into the car now to get it fixed? Is because I know that once I get it fixed, like that car is still going to last me. So that way we can save up enough money to buy another vehicle to eventually replace that one. You know, that particular vehicle's 14 years old and it's got over 260,000 miles on it, but I've taken care of it.
a great ride.
I've had to replace a motor on it, but that was at 250,000 miles. Like that's
She had a good run.
Yeah.
well, and all this for a car that I bought brand new for 13 grand.
Right.
Like I've gotten my money's worth out of that car by this point. Why am I still pumping money into it? Because that car is going to last me. It's going to get me to work and back for the next few years. And in that time, I can save up and get something better.
I think that's a great metaphor. Are you treating yourself the same way? Your body, your health.
Yes. I mean, because there are steps that I've made to, because I think it happens with a lot of us. Like we all hit a point where like, I'm not happy being here anymore.
Mhm.
I need to make some changes.
Yeah.
Because we're unhappy with what we've been doing.
Right.
We've been consistent in what we've been doing, but what we've been doing has not been the best for us. And so we have to make a change and then be consistent in that change.
Right. Why was there a show called My 600-Pound Life?
There still is.
I don't know. I watch TV much.
I don't.
Why are we fascinated with that?
God, I don't know.
Yeah, I have zero answer
Because that's right
But
down.
we are.
That's
There's
right.
people making money off of it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right down there with Honey Boo Boo and all that shit.
Oh Jesus, Kardashian. Anyway, anything.
Never watched
Oh.
an episode of any of that.
Nope.
Bullshit.
Nope.
Because it's
I
just
feel like I struck a nerve here.
yeah, it's just toxicity.
It's
Well,
gross.
what you put into your body is what you're going to get out.
Yeah.
Whether it be
Yep.
whether it be food or whether it be the things that you watch or the things you listen to, what goes in is what's going to come out.
Yeah.
If you put crap in, crap's going to come out.
Right.
And that's with anything, you know, that in life. I mean, what you put into it is what you'll get out of it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those huge lessons. And, you know, of course, like you said, we all hit our ruts or this and that. And we fall off, you know, the mark all the time. But again, you know, I think again, with that support group, keeping you consistent, it's huge.
Why is that not the message right now from the mass media? Right. I know
exactly.
I understand that, you know, sensationalism sells, right?
Right,
I
of
understand that,
course,
you know,
of
like you
course.
sell your local, you know, products and all that stuff for the advertisement. That, you know, doing the news is not a moneymaker unless you have advertising.
Right.
Doing a podcast where we're just sitting in the garage talking about it, unless you have people paying, you know, to watch it or sponsors like, you know, advertisements. There's just you're doing it for your own benefit.
Yeah.
Feel good about yourself, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing. We take that for granted. I guess when we look at all that, it's very frustrating to me that those things are sensationalized to a point that we look at it as entertainment, but we also have the mentality that we just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Because it's easy.
I was thinking easy too.
Yeah.
Change is hard.
Oh, very.
The fear of the unknown is, I think, the hardest.
No, that's on that. I mean, that's a perfect example of, again, where we're at in the world today, because there's so much divisiveness and we're so easily led astray by, you know, politicians and the media, because there is so much unknown. I always talk, you know, I always make the statement that, you know, I have my beliefs, I have my ideas and my opinions, and I will absolutely share them and, you know, do it in a civil manner. But even after every statement I make, as confident as I can be in that statement, I finish it with typically a question mark, because I am not confident in most of what my opinions are today because of so much untruth out there.
Yeah.
You know, so how can you be confident? You know, I mean, realistically, I mean, there's no right or no wrong. I mean, because of all the lies and the propaganda and the sensationalism of everything in our society, you know, if you actually do stop and think about it and not just read the Facebook or the Facebook, I just said the Facebook.
How old are you?
Yeah, I know.
73.
I know. So, you know, read social media, listen to the news platforms,
the
Twitters, the twats.
You know,
the World Wide Web.
You have to look internally. and I can't anymore. What time is it?
What's your AOL AIM?
Okay. What? Just completely off topic now. What was your AOL handle? Because everybody had a ridiculous AOL handle at one time.
I didn't.
No,
I was Stevie 86.
Oh shit! Never mind. Of course, right?
Well, no,
of course.
86 was. I didn't get on there until later, and 86 was.
86 was pre.
Audience just asked what is AOL?
We have different age range.
No, because
God.
there was
America Online. So no, Stevie 86 was because 86 was the first. Nora, my 86 Fleetwood was my car. So
yeah,
first car I bought.
All right, that makes sense.
I thought it was because there was already a Stevie 1, Stevie 2, Stevie 3, all the way through 85. 86 was the next
honestly, at that point, I didn't even go by Stevie anymore. But like it was Stevie 86 because, my first car that I actually bought with my own money was an 86 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham. Nora. Last car I named. God, I miss. She was a sweet old bird.
Yeah.
Oh man. What was your AIM call sign?
I hate that I even brought it up. Now.
Yeah, you gotta say it.
Yeah.
You gotta say it. Jess, your wife, says she still has an AOL address.
She does.
All right, Rob.
It was born to be a star. Yeah. Yeah.
Look, that is so douchey.
I was a thespian.
Jesus.
I was an actor, you know. I did acting in high school and college.
With an aim like that, I'm surprised you're not popping your collar.
And yeah.
Are you embarrassed?
Right now, yeah. And hating myself for even bringing up the topic.
That was you. That was all on you.
Yeah, right.
Well, there you go. With a name like that, there we go.
Born to be a star. That was it. Did you have numbers?
No. Jonathan
you
Herring
had the first.
Yeah. Well, it was
Born to be a star.
It was BRN to the number 2 BASTR.
Jonathan Herring's changing your contact name in his phone.
Yeah, you dick. I mean,
God.
I do have a Hollywood Walk of Fame star tattoo.
I don't want to see where it is.
It's my name.
Does it say Born to be a Star?
No, it says Robb Wilson. Yeah, that was my dream.
Where is it?
It's right here.
Right there?
Yeah.
You can show it on screen. without taking off your pants.
Why are we? I'm such a.
Oh, Rocky Patel is watching.
No.
I love the dedication. For those listening on audio right now.
Yeah. Wow. So
You're still young.
This is the third or fourth time I've done this. Just mental note.
Last time.
That'll teach you to bring up the past.
Mm-hmm.
Hey. All right. The importance of being consistent.
Oh, we've been very inconsistent this evening.
It's been a rough night. I got to figure out your TV thing that you gave to the garage.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So where are we at? Somebody ask us a question.
Yeah. So again, this is one of those things.
Well,
What's so funny is that I don't get really caught up on this.
I'll ask a question just because it was brought up.
To a quiet roar in the audience.
Just because it was brought up, a comment someone made on the live feed. Someone was talking about ruts, and I responded with a question.
Okay.
Can a quote unquote good rut be bad?
And what was your response?
No, that was the question.
That was your question. What do you think?
I think it can turn bad.
Isn't it a good rut? Isn't that an oxymoron?
Well, what is a rut? It's basically a path carved into, a lane of travel, but it only goes one direction. Like it only goes a certain area.
Yeah.
And I think some people, they may get into a quote unquote good rut, but then over time it becomes stagnant.
So I think good is very subjective, right? So this is something that if you're comfortable, right? So if you're happy with what you have, things are going to change, and you have no control of it, whether it be a career, right? If you working a job and you're happy with it, right? But then you have someone that passes you by in that path, right? They get the promotion, you don't, because you're happy with it. Now all of a sudden things change. In a relationship, much the same. You're happy with it, or everything seems good, and then things change in it. People grow as time goes by.
Yeah.
In that good rut, it's not a rut. It's a comfort. It's a comfort. You were talking about the lane, right? You were talking about the lane of traffic. You use those terms, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a comfort lane. That comfort lane is still going to narrow back down as you keep driving, because you were in like a merging lane or whatever. Like, they didn't lay down the lines yet. So now you have this huge comfort lane. You guys all know what I'm talking about with comfort lanes on the road, right? And so that's something that where I look at this is that, did you, Jonathan Robb, born to be a star. Did he spell it right?
Yeah, he did. That's exactly how I did
born,
it.
Did it have an O?
Oh, no, I did the BRN. Everything else is correct.
BRN to BA
STA
star.
Yeah. No, I love you, bro.
I love live feeds.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, to a good rut is the problem with that is that, and I was listening to a podcast recently, another podcast that was talking about that, as you grow, right? Do you leave your friends behind, or did they not follow you? And your close people, as you're doing things well, right? And if you're driven and you're on this path, a good rut is still a problem, because now you're stagnant. In my opinion, I'm of the opinion that
again it's subjectional, because
it is
because look, okay, job wise. All right. Before I started the road life, even though I didn't enjoy my job, I had, the consistency of that, 8 to 5, had my game plan every day. On my way home, I, stopped by the mart that was right by the grocery that was right by my house. Still making good money. Doing very well. And
also putting up Sean's comment here.
And I'd stop, I'd go home, I'd cook. And like every night, it was my routine. I'd get off work, I'd pick up stuff for dinner, go home, turn on some music, start cooking, have a great dinner on the balcony, smoke a cigar, have a drink. And that was a good rut. I mean, I loved that part of my day. Unfortunately, it was that 8 to 5 that grew very tired. That was the struggle. And it was part of that struggle that made me look forward to the good rut of my day.
Yeah.
And in the past, years, between leaving Chicago, coming back to Ohio, settling in Columbus, meeting a wonderful woman, and moving to Cleveland just 3 years later, selling my house, getting moved in, getting everything settled and unpacked, I'm looking for a little bit of that good rut, because I need some of that consistency in my life.
I think rut has a negative connotation.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
right.
So Sean, I put it up on the screen right there. A rut is a pattern, and it depends. If the person who made it was in the right track, then fine. But if it's questionable, you need to make your own rut. That is something that I look at that is that, yes, there are pros and cons of consistency, right?
Right.
And what I think you're talking about, I'm going to take this off there. Rob, you're talking about the fact that when the only consistency is constant change,
Right.
that's instability.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's okay for a while.
Right.
And there are a lot of people that get sucked into both sides of this.
Mm-hmm.
I look at this and I want to read Ray's comment. I'll probably throw it up there because I like where his mind's at with some of this stuff is. But if your rut is this consistency where it's just the mundane, which we talked about.
Yeah.
That is something that Jess actually said, what happens with stagnant water, it grows scum and algae.
And it breeds mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes, yeah, no one wants that. Yeah,
but that's because a vital nutrient.
So we're going biological.
Well, because she then says O2 goes down. So the oxygen level in stagnant water is less than flowing water. And so that's what breeds the algae, which relies on CO2. Explain
the metaphor to that.
So that water's not moving. It's not going anywhere.
Don't lean that far into it. No, I'm not. No. What's the metaphor?
Well, I think what she's getting at is like that water's not going anywhere.
Right.
It's not necessarily
stagnant.
It's not necessarily doing anything bad. It's not doing anything good. It's just there. It's not rocking the boat or anything. It's not carving a path through the landscape. It's just there. But it's because it's not moving, it's not growing. And so what happens? Something that's not healthy for that water environment starts to develop. And it can take over that landscape.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said, Jess. Nice breakdown, Nate. You know your wife.
Her and I are both science people. So
yes. Yeah.
So I'll take that metaphor a step further, that if you stay in the same place too long, you absolutely have the threat of quicksand. You're happy. You're there. Everything's working. But then you stop. What are you laughing at?
Remember growing up in the 80s?
We all thought quicksand was going to be a major issue in our life.
Quicksand was going to be like, don't turn that corner in the woods. There might be quicksand.
Did you ever have the Atari game? For those of you, Atari was before. Exactly.
Yeah, I knew where you were going.
Atari was a couple steps before Xbox 18, whatever they fucking have out there right now.
It was before Nintendo.
Yeah. So Pitfall, you just don't want to. You can't. You can't fall in the pit. Yeah. We have more studio audience. I love. No, you don't apologize. But no, yeah. Quicksand. So quicksand though is a metaphor that it will suck you down.
Right.
And that's what I looked at that. Besides the science behind it, thank you very much. Someone was talking about like CO2. Jesus Christ. There's a lot of smart people that listen to this.
What did Ray have to say?
I might have lost it at this point. Hang on. Let me pull it up here.
You can see that far?
More or less. Would have been nice if the TV didn't ruin our connection. Rut, quote, rut, end quote, rut. Suggests something bad. Not everyone is looking to continually grow. Some people are completely happy where they're at. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I will challenge that in a sense that, Ray, everyone out there, Ray, I know you well enough that I will say this is that when you get into that complacency of happiness, there was growth and everything else that got you there.
Mm-hmm.
You had to get to that point. It's not given to you. It's not just something you just walked into. These are the things that you worked for. You got to know yourself. You got to know what your career wanted to be. You know, the personal relationships, your health. You found that happiness. If you stop at that point, you, in my opinion, you are neglecting the steps and that hunger that got you to that point. If you achieved your goals, no matter what the scenario is that you are having in this context, let's keep it very basic. You have your perfect pour of whiskey and your perfect cigar, right? At some point, you pour that same whiskey, you pour that same cigar. The outside factors, or you like that same cigar. Sorry, I saw your face. You pour the whiskey, you light the cigar, and the outside factors are now affecting your mindset. Life continues on. Unless you're going to call it quits at that point of your happiness, it's going to keep moving without you. And that's what I was saying, is that if you are in that's that quicksand. That's the point, that moment in your life that you hit that happiness will not sustain the years, hopefully, that you have left. That's where you have to continue to be consistent with what got you there, to grow you beyond that. And hopefully the people that are around you, with significant other or the career or your hobbies or your health, whatever it might be,
right,
this is where it continues. I go back to the same thing, is that we look for that quick fix when it doesn't work out. And I admire all you guys on the panel, you guys out there, is that this is something that you hit that. How did you get there? And why are you stopping? If you hit your utopia, no matter what the arena is, with what we're talking about here, Ray's saying that, is how do you continue that for years on end? It's not staying put.
No, typically not.
It's not.
There's too many outside factors.
Yeah,
to keep it from being.
Well, look at Ray right now. Is that he's in Vietnam? You know, he's listening to this, and he's commenting all this stuff. He's gone through he moved around the world. He was UK, then he was Mexico, he was the United States, then he was Hong Kong. Now he's in Vietnam. He's living with his now wife in Vietnam. They're shut down. Is he just going to stay stagnant because he hit his utopia? No, now other things are affecting that. Now he's going to have to, you have to continue to react. You have to continue to get to that point where it's like, how did I get here? It's because I was a growing spirit. I was a growing person. I was striving and thriving to get to this point. I got to that point. If you hit your goal, now you can die or you can continue to grow.
Right.
What do you want to do?
I think a lot of people hit that when it comes to relationships.
Yeah.
They,
100%.
They will do whatever.
That's why relationships end.
They will do what it takes to, say marriage. Like, they will do what it takes to be able to date that person, get engaged, and get married to that person, and then they just stop trying after that.
Right.
Why do you put your best self out there that might even be a false self on your first date?
Because we want a second date.
Yeah. And then what?
Then we want
you want a third date. You want to get laid. All right, calm down. Jesus Christ.
It was easy.
You two speak for yourself.
So you get laid. All right, let's break down the middle school rules here. So you get laid there, Rob.
Yeah.
All right, you get laid. Why'd you leave the city you were living in that you owned a house to move up to what, 2.5 hours away?
2 hours. Yeah.
All right, because the half hour is the big discerning.
Depends on who's driving.
God damn it.
All right, so you got the girl.
Yep.
You guys moved in together. You left the city you're in. You were happy here.
Yeah. But I'm happier now.
All right.
Yeah.
So how do you stay happy?
Continue doing what.
You just don't want to say consistency.
Yeah.
Topic,
Yeah. Staying consistent to what?
No, don't use the word.
No. Staying.
I think it's like Pee Wee's Playhouse right now. It's like if you say it consistent, we all hey, drink. Yeah.
Right. No. But it is. It's continuing to do what I did to get there, and and obviously that has to be reciprocated as well. So, but that's one of my biggest things is I like to be consistent in who I am every day, with everyone in my life, not just my relationship with Shannon,
Yes.
but my relationship with you guys, my relationship with my customers. And, I want to continue to be, that person that, help build that trust and that good relationship, and continue to, what's the word I'm looking for? Help it grow. Like with Shannon and I mean, obviously, like most people, the past 18 months and, a lot of home time and, just sitting around, we find different stuff to do, playing a game, or, going for walks, riding bikes, to keep, that energy, that excitement, that fun together going. We went to the movies a few weeks ago, and it was just great to be out at a movie, in a movie theater together.
What'd you watch?
The Suicide Squad.
Great.
Yeah,
It's fun.
it was fun.
So fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. King Shark was awesome.
Stallone, man.
Yeah, right.
Great actor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think at this point he's better as a voice actor.
I disagree. Expendables 4 is actually en route right now, by the way.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh God.
God, no.
Is he just picking up people from the old folks home at this point?
Well, he's leaving the old folks home. Well said. Well said. But yeah, again, it's just like with everything, keeping the excitement going, keeping the growing.
It's
going on. You
it's
have
tiresome,
to continue to grow. I don't think it's tiresome. Not for
It
me.
can be.
Yeah, see, for me, I'm always looking for something, new and fun and exciting to do. And now I have someone great in my life that wants to share it with me.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of the dream, right? I mean, I have somebody who's, it's a secure relationship. We are on the same path, and have the same goals. And we have fun. And to not fall into that rut, we're always doing something different.
I hear what you're saying, and all I can, this is one of those, it's like a bumper sticker, but it's, you found your why you're doing it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You got to find your why.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you wake up, find your why. Why are you going to work? Why are you going to work? Why are you trying to show this person that gratitude? Why? Because gratitude is a big thing about relationships.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
You lose that, that's not your why anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's super impactful, that there's a lot of things that when you look at all the things you do on a daily basis, is that if you lose it, right? You Nate, you were talking earlier in part 2 about, the job, and you're just going in there, and I've been there. Rob's been there, we've all been there at some point, but it's, if you lose your why, or if someone asks you, why are you doing it? It doesn't mean anything if you don't have that.
Right.
If you're losing, like when you lost the weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's an age old thing. It's like, at first people are going to ask you why you're doing it, right? Because it's unorthodox, right? You're not enjoying yourself anymore, and then it'll turn into, how'd you do it?
Right.
That's it. That's your lesson, in my opinion, of fitness, health, career. The sacrifices you make, personal relationships, romantic relationships, especially, same thing.
Absolutely.
You are going to be one of those people that now you're going to be tested. You have this great relationship. You moved into this home with this significant other, and you have to, in my opinion, I'm not telling you what you have to do. One has to, and I'm not an expert on relationships. Clearly, if you guys follow the podcast and know me individually, but and I've lost that why before, and I've been with people that lost their why.
Yeah,
these are the things that if you what's your why? Why do you wake up? Why do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? Every aspect of your actions. If you're on cruise control, That's that rut. That's the mundane. That's everything else. If it's just paying the bills, literally or metaphorically, you gotta recheck it.
Right.
You gotta reset. You gotta figure it out because you've lost your way.
Yeah. You got to find that why.
The why is huge.
It's huge. Yeah, I agree.
And when things are going well, the why slips slowly. You miss it. You miss that. It's slowly just fading into the background because you're comfortable. You're complacent. You're in the rut. What we all these terms we talked about, but you're consistent still. So the importance of being consistent is huge.
Right.
But the why are you being consistent?
Yeah.
What do you actually want?
Yeah.
I think it's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we don't think about when you wake up in the morning.
Right.
You wake up in the morning like, I gotta go to work. It's your day off. I gotta mow the lawn. It's the changing it from what is your why is huge, way more than I gotta.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the growing aspect of it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's continuing down the path. It's continuing to grow. I mean, because your why is always going to change.
Yeah.
So you've got to.
The why changes, but it also gets buried.
Right. Right.
But I think the why changes because the goal is changing. Like if you look at it in business or career, like if you look at it as a relationship, like, okay, I want to date this person on a regular basis. That's why I'm going to do these things. Okay. I want to get engaged to this person. So now I'm doing these things. Like you're moving the goalpost.
Yeah.
Because, you know, where you want to be keeps changing because you want to keep going further.
Right.
Mhm.
Same thing with career. Like you don't just hit a point and be like, cool, I got this title.
I've made it here, so I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like-
that's the problem that
Because
a lot of people fall into.
Because everyone in a career, after a certain period of time, regardless of how much money typically they're making, like they want to make more.
Right.
And you know, the paycheck they're getting now just isn't enough to keep them there. You know, sometimes we've talked about that, Steve, in your previous career. Like we've seen salespeople like every 2 years they're jumping ship and going to another sales job.
They're gonna make more money.
Right.
Yeah, but the money's not enough to keep them there long term.
Right.
They've actually done studies to where, like, if an employer gives a bonus or a pay raise to a person, and say that person was unhappy with what they were making, but now they get just a little raise, like that'll keep them happy for about 3 or 4 months, and then they're back to being miserable.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if they get another raise, okay, cool, they're happy again for another 3 or 4 months. And then they're back to being miserable. I don't know what it is, but there's always a certain time of the year.
It's a carrot.
In my job, I should say where I work, I don't know what causes it, but it's always around the same time of the year.
Mm.
I just get miserable. I just become a miserable person, and I hate being where I'm at because I've been in that same position for so many years. I'm like, it'll last for like 2 to 4 weeks where I'm just unhappy where I'm at.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah, moving to another company for money's not growth. Yeah.
You shot that.
Just,
Right.
yeah. I mean,
Sorry.
Right. I mean, the key is you know, finding that whole idea, you know, finding what makes you happy and going for that, you know, finding that next adventure and going for that. Relationships, you know, you reach the goal of dating, you reach the goal of marriage, but now you want to grow old with that person. You've got to continue, you know, again, changing your why you're doing things. You know, I mean, again, with my previous job, I loved the people that I worked with.
Yeah.
But the job was boring. You know, it was mundane and I couldn't do it. So it was the why am I doing this? You know, then I stumbled into, you know, the cigar industry, and, you know, I can say why I'm doing it. I love the product. I enjoy the people I work with. I enjoy my customers. There's so much why. There's so much good that comes out of what I do.
Yeah.
Just selling cigars, you know, it seems so trivial, you know, but I love it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Cigar industry is trivial,
right?
But very impactful.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah,
we saw that in this last year when liquor sales and cigar sales and certain sales went way
up.
they blew through the roof.
Yeah.
Why? Because that was something that you have this enjoyable thing that not everyone actually had time for.
Right.
And now you give them time.
Yeah.
Ooh. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry. My wife reminded me of. Go ahead.
No, I'm good right now. So what I want to do is actually move into closing remarks. Rob, you have to actually drive home in the morning.
Oh no, I got this.
You're good?
Yeah, it's what I do for a living.
Yeah, closing remarks. It might take a minute.
It typically does.
Nate, I'm going to start with you because you just got re-engaged based on your wife's comments.
So you're talking.
Did you say it on the?
No, she texted me to tell a story.
She said, "Start with why," by Simon Sinek. Also, an excellent book. Is that what she texted you?
No, it's a story. So
check my phone to see if she texted me.
She didn't.
You don't know that.
So there was it was at a college or a university, and they put up a flyer like we need volunteers to come out. We're going to pay you $15 an hour to do a job. We're not going to tell you what the job is until you show up, but we're going to pay you $15 an hour.
Seen those experiments. Yeah.
So they have a group of people show up and they say, all right, we need you to dig a ditch. You're going to spend, the next 4 hours, you're going to dig a ditch. Here's how deep. Just keep digging it until 4 hours hits. So these people start digging a ditch. And after 4 hours, they say, all right, fill it back in. And so they fill it back in.
Why?
Wait
for it. At the end of the day, they're like, all right, anyone who comes back tomorrow, instead of paying you $15 an hour, we're going to pay you $30 an hour. Half the people showed back up the next day.
What year was this taken?
I think this happened when I was in college.
Oof.
And they said, all right,
I'm in.
The next 4 hours.
Are they still hiring? There's still dishes to be dug?
I think it was a sociology or psychology study.
Oh, I'm in. Oh, I know it was. No, I'm in.
So then
Rob and I will be tomorrow.
So then the next day,
$30 an hour?
Half number of people show up.
Make twice that.
They spend 4 hours digging a ditch and then 4 hours filling it back in. So, okay, anyone who shows up again tomorrow, we're going to pay you $60 an hour. And again,
I'm in.
Half as many people showed up.
So even though they were paying people more money every single day, less and less people were showing up, even though the money was increasing.
Oh.
Why did less people show up? Because they looked at what they were doing. They're like, well, there's no point to this. There's no why. There's no goal. Like, why are we doing this? It's useless. It's pointless.
$60 an hour is a lot.
Like
right now. Like when you were in college, it was a shit ton. Right now, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'll dig the shit out of that.
Exactly. Like all of us would sit there and go, wait, you mean in 3 days I'll be making $60 an hour? Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why?
Do you have
because I want money.
Do you have a contact?
But eventually people just stop showing.
40-year-old freshman.
Closing remarks.
But eventually people
dig ditches for $60 an hour.
But people stopped showing up because there was no purpose to the work.
Right.
There was no purpose to what they were doing. There was nothing being accomplished. They were working for 8 hours a day doing manual labor.
Yeah.
But
No sense
nothing
of
was being built.
accomplishment.
There was
Yeah,
no, yeah.
yeah.
It's not like someone who works erecting a skyscraper that then like they can go and say, hey, you know what? I built that.
Yeah.
I helped build that.
Right.
That building right there.
I did carpentry for years after high school, and every morning the crew, we would show up at the job site and we would stand there and marvel at what we did the day before.
It's amazing.
We'd all hang out, arms crossed, drinking our coffees, and just looking at what we did the day prior.
It's amazing.
And it was fantastic. And, it gave you motivation to continue that. I mean, even still today, when I'm driving through areas, I did it actually just a week ago, driving down 75 towards Cincinnati. I'm like, hey, I built that, you know, and
you're accomplished.
There was a sense of pride to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this particular sociology test that they were doing, like there was no purpose to what they were doing. So people just stopped dropping out. It didn't matter how good the money was because there was no why factor.
Right.
Like consistency went out the window because there was no why.
That's why I continue to do what I do now to make cigar dreams come true.
So
That's
think,
why.
But I think
it better not be your closing remark.
But I think that ties into
turn off his mic.
Okay. Oh, it hasn't been on the whole time.
Literally, no one has heard anything you said.
Yep.
Joking.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's what I think that's what ties into
No.
I think that's what ties into consistency. When we're talking about consistency, whether good or bad, why is a factor. And I'm not trying to make this into a math equation, but why is a factor. Like if you're consistently doing something bad, why? If you want to change that, why? If you're doing something consistently good, why? If you want to change and do better, why? Or if you all of a sudden want to slack off, why do you want to slack off?
Why?
No, the why is super important. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. And if I had to, one of the things I thought of before Jess made the comment about the stagnant water, one of the things I'd written down long before she had said that
don't
was
your wife.
Being consistently growing is being inconsistently stagnant.
Ooh. Oof.
All right, that's too deep. All right.
Rob, your turn now.
Bitch. Jess, thank you for contributing.
Yeah, Jess. Wow.
He can stay here if he needs to. Go ahead.
So I don't know. I mean, closing remarks again. I think I just think a lot of my lesson, a lot of my thought process, you know, just not even recently, in the past, again, 18 months and everything is, again, a lot of that internal, you know, inward thinking, you know, look at yourself, look at where you're going, why you're headed in that direction, have purpose, you know, and, you know, I always say, you know, all right, so when I went to college, I went to school to be a preacher.
Yeah.
You know, and my idea of what put me on that path was the idea of helping people, enlightening people, you know, bringing joy into people's lives, you know. And I was talking to a man of the cloth recently.
Man of the cloth.
And
so poetic.
And I was telling him, you know, I changed my path, you know. He brought it up to me, you know, because I was doing an event and I was doing my best to, you know, have a good event, you know, introduce cigars to people and share what knowledge I have and make it an experience for people. And he's like, you know, in a way, you know, you are preaching. You are you are putting good out there. You are, you know, through, you know, just talking to people and trying to uplift people, you are changing, you know, their days, you know, and staying positive and moving forward and giving people, you know, something to look forward to. And I don't know how I got off on the tangent.
I love it.
But you know, I think, you know, I don't know.
You're a man of the leaf.
I'm a man of the leaf. Yeah. But you know, again,
Ray said man of the cloth to man of the leaf.
I love it.
Same.
Thanks,
Brothers
Ray.
of the Leaf.
Cheers to that. So, closing statement. Do good.
That's it.
And thanks for having me.
I just filled your glass. You don't have to chug it. I hope there are a lot of people listening to this because it's just honest conversation
Yeah, that's typically what we do.
when you're here.
Yeah.
I had someone actually tell me they haven't been on a podcast. They've been on many podcasts, but they have not been on one like this.
Yeah.
Part 2.
Yeah.
And it was cigar industry.
Right.
And they were like, I want to do it again.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I think why people watch and people were so engaging, you know, in the comments is that
Yeah.
is that we're just 3 guys, you know,
Tonight.
and having conversation that many others are having that same conversation, and you know, going through the same shit that we talk about that we're going through, and it's relatable.
We're putting it out there. Born to be a star.
BRN
To be a
to be a
SDAI.
star. Burn to be.
Yes.
It's not born. It's burn.
That may be more applicable now.
Oh God.
Yes.
What,
Steve, closing statements, Steve.
first off,
Oh God. This is first off.
how's your karaoke tour going?
Oh no. Who asked that?
I did.
The
The guy to your right.
I haven't karaoke'd in a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I've heard
to.
you sing.
Yeah. It's good, right?
Well, if you guys want to tune into our side,
No,
our side
don't.
feed,
Don't.
we
There will
got,
be no side
Robb
feed.
Wilson.
No.
Said burn to be a star.
Instead of bourbon and BS, it's bourbon and karaoke.
Bourbon.
Oh, that would be an interesting.
We're gonna do it.
We're gonna do it.
Bourbon, but with no O.
Why not? Thank Jesus Christ. It's interesting. So now I've drank enough whiskey, I can't see the screen.
It's the whiskey, not the age.
Absolutely. I pulled it off. Patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast. We got some good stuff coming up on. I'm going to share the new website that we can order t-shirts. Rob will model them while he's singing karaoke. You're losing it. Yeah. Michaela,
Thank
in the
you.
audience is like, I'll watch it. Also, Tinder Box at Easton. We're gonna have the Rocky Patel 60 in about a week or 2. Guys, check it out. Also, Altitude USA. Calm down. Next week we got Josh Bentley on, which I'm happy to have him back on. You know Josh, he's
Josh is my boy. Yeah.
good people.
Yeah. Love the guy.
But smoking some good cigars from them. I think it might be the Monte Cristo Epic 12 Blue.
Good
Some
smoke.
swag. We're gonna have some raffle. If you guys want to be a part of the Patreon page, we'll have them on.
They're off limits.
Yeah, he's not allowed to smoke them. Also, BS Cigar Company, thank you very much. Gold and silver are now available all the time. Patreon.com. You guys are amazing. I hope you guys continue to contribute to it. I'm trying to put the top back on. Where's that? Someone else needs to be. There you go. The importance of being consistent.
Focus.
The one thing I've learned about listening to you guys is there's ups and downs through this. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be consistent. We lose our way. We gather ourselves. It's always a constant struggle. So the biggest part about, for me, consistency is absolutely holding yourself accountable to being consistent. I like this topic tonight because in listening to you guys, it's you've gone through your ups and downs, but you've learned from it. And when I look at consistency, if there's anything worth being consistent at, is what's building yourself to be a better person. If there's other people involved, if there's a career involved, if there's a personal relationship, romantic relationship, your significant other, these are things that the big thing about this, the importance of being consistent, is you have to stay on that path. If you get to your goal, what you want to get to as far as your career, you got your significant other, is not to be complacent. Because what got you to your happiness is that thriving and building aspect of it. So you got to that point, but you did not hit that finish line. You won't get to that finish line if you get, fitness-wise, if you lose weight, it's not over. Keep the weight off. That is a great metaphor to, if you met the girl of your dreams, if you got that job. Is that your last job? No. The next job is your job of your dreams. It's staying hungry. It's staying consistent. What brought you success and happiness is what will bring you more of it. Don't stop. Always execute what you want to get to. And when you get to that point, there's more. It's not being unhappy with what you have. It's appreciating what got you to what you have so that you can actually build off of it. Now everyone wins. We talked about this a lot tonight. Early on in part 2 about like Jonathan Herring and all this stuff, is that no one knows who's looking at what you're doing, right? You know, you put it out there. That's the first step. But it's that one person that you console in. Or if you put it on social media, which is a big thing today, you do that. There are people holding you accountable. It's not always you. That you have to put yourself out there, and then you have to hold yourself accountable, because the sad part is that you're your biggest critic. The other people out there that you're impacting are growing with you.
Mm-hmm.
There is a movement, and don't stop it.
Right.
When you hit your goal, don't stop.
Right. Nurture the goal.
Nurture. Yeah, absolutely.
If you hit your goal,
what's that?
If you hit your goal, what's the next one?
Yeah.
What's the next goal?
Right.
If you hit your goal and you're done, die off, you're fine.
Right.
You did it.
Sounds morbid, but it's true. Yeah.
Facts.
Right.
Facts.
Again, there will never be a finish line. There shouldn't be. There shouldn't be a finish line.
There
in
are
life.
checkpoints.
Exactly.
Ooh.
So hit your checkpoint. All right. Cheer this.
Cheers to that.
Guys, I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you all our sponsors, and Rob, thanks for being here. Studio audience, thank you for being here. Nate, you're always amazing. And all you guys, no, this Nate. But no, I think that you guys owe it to yourself that if you guys have hit your next checkpoint, what's your next one? do not get complacent. Do not settle on your laurels. We need to actually continue to grow. And I'll say this. You might lose some people along the way, but that's only because it's not that you left them behind. It's because they didn't want to go with you. This is a life path that if you want to continue to grow and expand and enjoy life, there are people that will join you and they will enjoy their life because you have continued to grow and you've been consistent. That's what you rely on, and that's what they rely on. Happy Whiskey Wednesday, everyone.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
Gotta drive. Cheers, everyone.